Shehan Jeyarajah, dude, you are on like every podcast in America this week. Can you just like Monday through Friday this week? How many shows are you going on, dude?
Oh man, I don't know how this week got so busy for me. I'm doing like 4 or 5 shows a day. It's actually
Holy
insane.
cow!
I'm doing this one obviously from 10:40 to 11. Then I've got one at 11:30. Then I got one at 12. Then I'm also doing our podcast at 1 live on YouTube. It's a crazy day. It's a crazy day.
Well, listen, when we want to talk college football, we know the number one guy in America, Shehan Jeyarajah, Baylor's own. I love to point that out. Baylor Lariat, bred in the campus in Waco, man. Glad you're here. Hey, do you have an AP vote?
I do not. AP, if you're watching, get me on.
Let's get him a vote because they put out the top 25, and I'm going to throw it up again. We talked about this yesterday, and you had a take this week that you thought Baylor belonged. And just for those watching, you are not a ride or die homer who's going to just inflate Baylor just because. Baylor obviously here receiving votes 28th if you wanted to look at it that way. What would you change about this top 25? What did they get right? What did they get wrong? And why do you think Baylor deserves a spot?
Well, I think overall it was a pretty good poll. And I'll tell you what, too, as somebody who has a vote in our CBS 136 rankings, where you're ranking every single team in America, once you get to that second, third tier, it gets a lot harder than people realize to try to parse through some of these teams. A couple things for me, though. I think that the voters are expecting some teams, especially those in the SEC, to maybe take a step from last season, even though they've lost some key pieces. I think of a team like Michigan, they end the year strong, but they have a lot of question marks on that team, even with Bryce Underwood coming in at quarterback. I think of a team like Illinois as well, that I think that they kind of get the bump because they had a good season and return their quarterback, but they don't return their defense or their best receivers. Ole Miss, completely new roster, essentially. I don't really think that they belong in the AP top 25 at all at this point. And even when you start talking about Florida being a top 15 team, Oklahoma being a top 20 team, I think that people are just a little too projection heavy with teams that have struggled to deliver. From my perspective, I think that Baylor did belong in the top 25. And it's funny, I think for me, I look at the order of teams from the Big 12, right? And we'll obviously get to it a little bit deeper coming up, but there were 4 teams in, and then on top of that, the first 3 teams out of the poll were all Big 12 teams. So you're kind of projecting them as the 7th best Big 12 team coming into the year. Now, all of them are very close outside of Arizona State, which I think is fair. But I think that Baylor, when you look at what they have coming back, they are on a different level, especially on the offense side of the ball, than a lot of these other teams. Of course, they have, in my opinion, a top 2 quarterback in the conference in Sawyer Robertson. They've got the best running back in the conference in Bryson Washington. They've got 4 offensive linemen returning. I think they've done a really good job of building in the front 7. That last piece is whether Paul Gonzalez is going to be able to get enough out of the secondary. But if he does, and I think Paul Gonzalez is one of the most respected secondary coaches in the country, this is a team that talent-wise can contend with anybody in the conference, and I think that they're going to be right there at the end of the year.